Hello, Virgo. Uh, an opportunity is presenting itself to you right now. And the interesting thing isn't just that it's coming, it's that something inside you is leaning toward yes, even though you haven't fully examined why. You're not resisting like you usually do. You're not immediately looking for reasons it won't work, not automatically assuming the catch, not talking yourself out of it before you've even considered it properly. Let me describe what this looks like. You may have been someone who overthinks opportunities, who analyzes them to death, who finds problems before acknowledging possibilities, who protects yourself from disappointment by expecting things to fall through. Some people experience this as being realistic, as being smart, as protecting themselves from naive hope that leads to predictable letdown. It might feel like you've been burned before by saying yes too quickly, by trusting too easily, by believing in things that didn't deliver. So you developed skepticism as armor. But with this particular offer, your skepticism is quieter than usual. Your resistance is lower. Your instinct is pointing toward yes instead of automatically toward no. Let's pause here. This reflection invites you to consider, what opportunity are you considering that feels different from how you usually evaluate opportunities? Maybe it's professional, a job offer, a business proposition, a collaboration, a chance to do something you've been wanting to do but haven't had the right opening for. You may have been waiting for something like this. Not this exact thing necessarily, but something that feels aligned, that matches where you're trying to go. That doesn't require you to compromise core values to pursue it. It's possible this offer checks boxes you didn't think could all be checked simultaneously. Good money and good fit, challenge and support, growth and stability, the combination you thought was too much to ask for. Some people spend years waiting for all their criteria to align. They turn down things that are almost right because almost isn't enough. And they wonder if they're being too picky or if holding out is wisdom. You may have been one of those people, and this offer is showing you that holding out was worth it, that all your criteria can align, that you don't have to settle for partial fit. It can feel surreal when something checks all your boxes, like it's too good to be true. Like, surely there's something you're not seeing that will reveal itself later. But sometimes things are just good. Sometimes opportunities arrive that are genuinely right. And your job is to recognize them instead of talking yourself out of them. This reflection invites you to consider, are you looking for problems because you don't trust that good things can be straightforward? There's something specific about what makes this offer compelling. It's possible it's offering something you need right now, not just want, need, financially, professionally, emotionally. Something that solves a problem or fills a gap or creates space you've been lacking. You may have been managing without this thing, getting by, making it work, but getting by isn't thriving. And this offer might be what moves you from managing to actually flourishing. Some people get comfortable in survival mode. They adapt so well to limitation that they stop believing expansion is possible. They stop even looking for opportunities because they've convinced themselves nothing better exists. You may have been approaching that resignation, starting to believe that where you are is where you'll stay, that your current baseline is your permanent ceiling. And this offer is challenging that belief, showing you that better exists, that movement is possible, that you don't have to stay where you've been just because you've been there a while. It can feel destabilizing when possibility appears after you've accepted limitation. Like you have to recalibrate your entire understanding of what's available to you. But destabilizing isn't always bad. Sometimes your stability was just stagnation, wearing a comfortable name. This reflection invites you to consider, have you been calling stagnation stability? Let me talk about what accept actually means here. It's possible you're going to say yes, not impulsively, but decisively. You're going to evaluate properly, consider implications, think it through, and then you're going to commit. You may be someone who takes time with decisions, who needs to process, who doesn't like being rushed. And that's fine. That's wise when warranted. But there's a difference between thoughtful consideration and analysis paralysis, between taking necessary time and using time as avoidance. Some people think indefinitely as long as a decision feels scary. They confuse fear with lack of readiness. They wait for certainty that never comes, because certainty rarely arrives before commitment. You may need to examine whether you're taking time to think or taking time to avoid, whether you're being thoughtful or just scared. It can feel impossible to tell the difference. Fear and wisdom both say wait, but fear says wait forever. Wisdom says wait until you have enough information, then decide. And you might already have enough information. You might be waiting for a feeling that isn't coming because the only way to get that feeling is to choose and see what happens. What you might need to do is set a decision deadline. Give yourself a specific time frame to evaluate, and when that time is up, decide based on what you know instead of waiting for perfect clarity. Some people avoid deadlines because deadlines create pressure, but pressure isn't always bad. Sometimes pressure is what moves you from consideration to action. You may need that pressure, need to know that you have to decide by a specific date instead of leaving it open-ended indefinitely. It can feel forced to impose a deadline on yourself, like you're rushing something that deserves more time. But if you've been considering for weeks or months, you're not rushing, you're just finalizing. There's something about what happens after you accept. It's possible your life shifts pretty quickly once you say yes, not because the offer itself is magical, but because saying yes opens doors, creates momentum, signals to yourself and to the universe that you're ready for what comes next. You may have been stuck in indecision for so long that movement of any kind creates energy, and energy creates more energy, and suddenly things start happening that weren't happening when you were stuck. Some people stay stuck because stuck feels safe. No risk, no change, no possibility of failing at something new. You may have been one of those people, and saying yes to this offer is going to break that pattern, is going to show you that movement is possible, that you can handle change, that taking risks doesn't automatically lead to disaster. It can feel scary to break patterns you've relied on, even when those patterns weren't serving you, even when staying stuck was slowly killing your potential. But breaking patterns is how you grow, how you discover what you're actually capable of, how you stop living small because small felt safe. What you might discover is that you're more adaptable than you thought, more capable, more resilient, that the fear of new situations was worse than the actual experience of navigating them. Some people limit themselves for years based on fears that turn out to be unfounded. They avoid opportunities because they're scared of challenges that they'd actually handle fine if they just tried. You may be about to prove that to yourself, that you can do hard things, that saying yes doesn't mean saying yes to disaster, that taking chances is how good things happen. It can feel validating when risks work out. When saying yes leads to positive outcomes. When trusting yourself turns out to be the right call. But even if it doesn't work out perfectly, you'll learn something. You'll grow. You'll discover capabilities you didn't know you had. And that's valuable regardless of outcome. You remain in complete control of whether you accept this offer. You can say yes, say no, negotiate, ask for time, request modifications. The power is yours. It always has been. You may notice reading this has brought up a specific opportunity you're considering. Maybe excitement about the possibility. Maybe fear about what saying yes would require. Maybe the question of whether you're actually ready. Whatever it is, honor it. Take what resonates. Softly release the rest. Trust yourself. Before we close, I want to ask you something. What opportunity are you currently considering that your gut is saying yes to, but your mind is finding reasons to doubt? Drop it in the comments if you want. And this, what would have to be true for you to trust your yes? Looks like you're going to accept this offer, not because you're being impulsive, not because you're not thinking it through, but because something in you recognizes this as right, as aligned, as the thing you've been waiting for, even if it looks different than you imagined. Your yes is building, your resistance is fading, your readiness is becoming undeniable. Not eventually, soon. Trust yourself with this. Trust that your instinct toward yes is information worth listening to. Trust that you can evaluate properly and still move decisively. Trust that saying yes to the right things is how you build the life you actually want. See you in the next one. And listen, opportunities favor people who can recognize them and act on them. Saying yes is a skill, and you're about to exercise it. Stay discerning, but don't let discernment become avoidance. Say yes when yes is right. Take care.